Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Discover New Music podcast from us at Pelt Music. Shortly, we'll be chatting with Major Moment, who we recently featured over on our Discover New Music playlist on Spotify with their single Losing Battles. But before then, the usual reminders from myself. If you would, please do follow Pelt on social media. We're on Facebook at Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Pelt Music. And again, if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, wherever you're watching or listening. Welcome to Andrey and Sasha from Major Moment to the Discover New Music podcast. Absolutely delighted to have you both on. How are you doing?
Hey, thank you for having us. We're doing great. Thank you.
Yeah, totally. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, no, really looking forward to it because as I say, there's a lot of excitement in the Major Moment camp at the moment. Lots to look forward to, lots for us to talk about. So it's going to be a great chat, but we always start off this podcast with the same topic, the same theme. It is the Discover New Music podcast. So hopefully there'll be some people discovering the band through this. So we always, as a way of introduction, start out with the origin story, we call it, which is a very fancy way of just asking you, how did the band come together? How did Major Moment form?
Right. It's a long story. How much time do we have? I think it's still a story in progress, to be honest with you.
Definitely.
A Major Moment is morphing into something else, year after year, and it's growing and becoming bigger than we ever imagined, and maybe even bigger than we are, which is good. It's our baby, and we're excited to see it grow. But going back to your question, let's rewind. I don't know, to 20 years, right?
Well, first of all, being a couple, a married couple together, having a baby, that sounded really cool.
Yeah, I mean,
it is indeed.
Right. So I was born and grew up in Russia. Same story for Sasha, right? Not everything is gonna be rhyming in this story. But anyway, I always wanted to make music, and somehow I didn't see myself doing it back in Russia for multiple reasons. I was always fascinated and always listened to like more of Western music than Russian pop music or Russian rock. I was always a fan of bands like Linkin Park and Papa Roach and a lot of bands from Britain as well. So it was always like Western influence. I was always influenced by Western culture, and as far as movies as well, and comic books and whatnot, right? So in 2005, I decided to pursue my passion and move to Boston. Before that, I studied law in law school, and I decided that that wasn't my thing either. So a total change of pace, right? Moved to Boston to pursue Korean music. It was, so we started writing some demos, some of which actually became Major Moment songs years later. We're talking like 17 years of those demos sitting on the hard drive, collecting dust and waiting for their major moment, right, to shine. Unfortunately, life in the States, has its own
challenges.
Has its own challenges for sure, right? So I had to obviously find a second job to support myself. All the gear is very expensive. I didn't have any connections in the industry. I didn't know what I was doing whatsoever. Not that I know anything right now, but back then I didn't know anything at all. All I knew that I wanted to pursue my passion, and I was willing to go distance for that. But long story short, life got me into running a business at some point, and my passion took the backseat because I was busy with paying bills and establishing myself here as a citizen, and running a business. But I always had this a reminder in the back of my head, in the back of my mind, that the music is still there. You're still not doing whatever you want to do. It's still not any closer than you were like 5 years ago, right? So at some point, I decided, well, you know what, money is good, but on my deathbed, whenever that's going to happen, we're going really dark right now. I want to say that I lived a fun life, full of cool events and full of dreams that came true, and things that I accomplished. And money is not really that important of an aspect of all of that to me. Like I said, we were enjoying it for some time, but
right,
we're doing just fine right now.
It's like
I think I got sidetracked as far as telling the story. It's probably the worst story ever.
Most right.
So let's switch to Sasha's part, because there are definitely there
a lot of parallels.
A lot of parallels for sure.
Well, my background is very interesting. I was a professional tennis player my whole life, and traveled the world, and loved doing that. But at some point, money is difficult, and some injuries, minor ones, but still, like, you get tired. And I was always also passionate about music. I was singing. I was actually born in the radio day, so like all the lyrics just flow into my head, and I can repeat it in any language. So that was kind of cool. I was doing that a lot, and singing, and imagining myself on stage a lot of times. So accidentally, when I was traveling in the US for the first time, I met Andrey through our mutual friend, who is also a Linkin Park fan. And we were all members of the same community, like a Russian community that friend was in charge of. And that's how we met. And turns out he's the love of my life. And I decided to move to the US. And he started a band, whatever that was.
Well, whatever that was major moment for sure.
Became major moment.
No.
Yes, and I was not even a part of it at first.
That is true. That is true. Coincidentally, we're recording this podcast on October 21st. And I just saw, how Facebook sends you those memories, like posts you made. So our first ever gig as a major moment was 6 years ago. And interestingly enough, on this very day, Sasha was actually in the room as audience and not on stage as a performer. So,
not for a long time, actually.
not for a long time, right? It changed rather quickly. And Sasha became an irreplaceable part of our band. But yeah, that's what I mean when I was saying, our story keeps morphing, and the band keeps growing, and it becomes. It is definitely a drastically different band from what it was 6 years ago. That's the huge difference, and I don't even know what it was 6 years ago, and I'm super excited to see where it goes in 6 more years.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. I mean, that is a sensational origin story. Really is. I mean, tales of obviously love, chasing your dream and moving across the world to do so. I mean, quite often the stories we hear in this segment are, I stuck an advert on Facebook and the guy responded. So I mean, I think you win the whole series of origin stories.
Well, we love crazy stories, like I was saying, that's what makes up a cool life that you live, like all of those stories. And
in major moments.
I mean major moments, right? Boo.
I love dad jokes.
Consists of major moments,
right? It's the same here. I think that's it's cool that we have such a story, and like yeah, I'm really happy and stoked. And when I look back at it, like what you know, like what a crazy guy I was, like to move across the ocean to pursue a career in one of the most challenging industries ever.
Yeah.
Writing songs in the language that is not my native language, obviously, and you know, the language that I barely spoke back then. Yeah, I'm in shock. What a brave guy I was.
Well, it turns out it's
was.
much harder to write music in your native language, though.
Is it though? I don't know. It's just like I think we might be just overthinking when it comes to our language, and you know that might be detrimental as well in a way. English definitely has you know, better flow when it comes to singing compared to Russian. You know, we have some two songs that we adapted to Russian. You know, it was quite it took us quite some effort to do it. You know, we wanted to keep all the same metering and all the same melodies and all the same, not rhymes, but the same length of like phrases and all of that. So it was, and also the meaning as well, which is very important to us. So that was an interesting experience too.
I think we won that challenge though with the flood. Oh.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, Russian-speaking audiences appreciated. One of those songs was "The Flood." Appreciated "The Flood" just as much as you know, English-speaking audiences liked.
Well, some of the English-speaking audiences say that you sound much better in the Russian version, and I like that better than the English version.
That was like, mind-blowing. To be honest, that's mind-boggling.
Yeah, no, well, it's such an incredible story, and the evolution of the band is just phenomenal to see. And obviously, the single that we've featured most recently on our playlist, because we always ask the question around the single next, but we've actually featured two of yours, so we're going to have to ask the same question twice. But "Losing Battles" is the most recent one that we've featured on there, and we always just like to get some insights into the single we've had on the playlist. So, what can you tell us about "Losing Battles"?
"Losing Battles" is actually one of those became I guess grew up from one of the demos that I mentioned that me and my friends started writing back in 2006 2007, and it was just sitting there. You know, the song has an interesting story that I already wrote lyrics to it, and it became a full demo. And then we brought it to the studio, and Kevin, our producer, sent us back with it. He said it's not good enough. You guys go back and work on it a little more. So we had to rewrite lyrics basically from scratch. I think there's like only one line that is left from the original demo, and everything else had to be written. And also the melody, with the vocal melody as well. Right. But lyrically, it was inspired by my literal nightmares that I'm having once in a while. You know, they were like kind of apocalyptic. The world was ending, you know, and when I woke up, I would, you know, find myself still like hyperventilating and like my heart beating out of my chest. And you know, when I would sit down and like think about it next day, you know, while reading the news, I would realize that, you know, the world was ending in my dreams, right? But like the reality is not that much better. You know,
very dark. You know, a lot of our songs are based on the true story and experiences that we keep experiencing in our life.
Oh no.
Sorry.
You feel so much better. Right. You know, no, world is a beautiful place. The world is a beautiful place, and life is amazing, and you know, everything is good, but it also has its own dark side, right? And like, you know, I tend to go there, you know, quite often. You know, reading the news about, you know, what became of our country, and whatever else is happening in the world right now, between Israel and Palestine, and and stories like that. It's all very sad that in 2023 we're still, a species, we're still killing each other for whatever reason. I don't get it. I don't have a reason to kill anybody. So that's all very weird to me. I don't have a reason to hate anybody. I guess I'm lucky in a way too. But yeah,
it is. Yeah, definitely. So it's a great song, and the themes behind it, as you say, quite dark, but quite sort of obviously relatable and relevant, because it's something we all probably experience, that feeling that the world is coming to an end. I mean, living in the world, as you mentioned right now, it certainly does feel that way.
right.
But obviously, the other single we've featured on there is "Overcome," which I think kind of sort of is the opposite end of.
It's exactly opposite. Yes.
So, similar sort of question: what is the story with "Overcome" then?
It's probably our most positive song out of all.
For sure.
Very special. I mean, it's also, I think, darker side and the brighter side also shows our personalities a lot, because Andrey is a little bit more darker and I kind of bring it up all the time. So that's how we thought that who's going to be the lead singer for the song. Like when we were writing, we already kind of see where a certain song is going, as part of the story.
Right. So the song was inspired by our experience as artists and musicians, and this is what the song is basically about. We were in the studio recording our upcoming album last year, and we couldn't come up with lyrics to one of the songs, and the whole experience of being in the studio, because the studio time was booked months and months in advance, and we kind of slacked and didn't bring songs that were complete, I would say. So some songs needed work, and we tried to come up with something on the spot, and that doesn't always work as intended. So a few times we had to go home exhausted from overworking our brains for like 8 hours, but still with nothing. And Kevin, our producer, is always hard on himself more than he is hard on us, because he says he doesn't want to waste any of our time, and he would rather be productive and all of that. But I'm of the mentality that being in the studio and being a part of this creative process, even if
something doesn't work, you still have to try and
right.
It was with Toxic also.
Right, it's still a part of the experience, right? So we wrote parts of Overcome while we were literally having a brunch in this breakfast place in Portland, Maine, before hitting the studio for the next day. And we wrote it about how we thought being an artist could be a humbling experience, but also that's what makes you a better artist, is overcoming those challenges, and I guess
well, I think whatever you do in life, you have to go through something so some kind of obstacles, challenges, or whatever you want to call it, to get better, to get somewhere. After all, being a professional tennis player in the past, I've had
plenty.
Massive amount of losses and painful practices that you have to go through to get to the next level, and that's what basically the song is about.
Right. And one of the lines of this song in particular became the title of our album, which is great, because we think the album is called "The Pain That Makes Us Grow," and the line was, "If we overcome the pain, we will grow."
Right.
So we thought it kind of ties this theme of pain. It ties all 14 songs on the album, because they all kind of came from the place of experiencing something painful and something that changes you. Hopefully something that turns you into a better person. Like I said, with Losing Battles, it was like on the darker side. With Overcome, it's more of a positive experience. There are some songs that were inspired by what's happening, in Russia right now, and the themes of like Russian aggression towards Ukraine, and our take on that. So a lot of interesting stories on this album, and we're so excited to share them with the world. We think they're like, they're quite different one from another, but we did want this album to be more or less diverse, as as far as whatever we can do, right?
Yeah.
Gotta embrace the suck.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's the theme for Overcome, for sure. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, very, very relatable. I mean, we all have to overcome challenges, as you say, and you can relate that to anything in life, be it in your personal life, in your career, whatever it may be. And I'm certainly glad I asked about the two songs in that order as well, because obviously it sort of flows and gives the positive outcome to it, which is fantastic. And
totally.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier as well, obviously, about your sort of influences at a younger age, obviously coming from more from the West, and obviously movies as well in there. And people that have followed this podcast will know that I'm obsessed with music videos. I grew up watching music videos. I mean, Linkin Park, you mentioned earlier, had some fantastic videos that I sat and watched religiously growing up. And I always check out the music videos for anyone that I'm interviewing and try and pick the best one to ask about. And some bands just don't have any, unfortunately, because it gets cut from the budget or whatever it may be.
Right.
I have spent all afternoon watching your videos, and they are absolutely incredible. So
you must think we come from a rich background, but we're not. We don't.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for checking those out. We also are super proud of those videos, and we're of the same opinion that music videos, they add more to the story of the song, and become kind of allow you to have a different angle, a different view on the song, and they add to the story. And like the visual side of it was super important to us always. So for us, everybody says like music videos are dead in 2023, like you should stop wasting money on music videos. But as far as like return on investment, it's definitely, music videos are definitely not the best investment an emerging band can make. But we always thought that our songs and our lyrics, they kind of suggest that there's going to be something else there as far as the visual element goes. So we always try to find money in our budget to at least have a lyric video done, if not the full music video. And as far as music videos goes, they're quite expensive to make. So whatever we can cut as far as the budget goes, we'll try to make the music video look good on a tiny budget, if it's possible.
Well, your videos have definitely made it possible. As I say, listeners, there'll be a link in the bio. You can click through to check them out. And obviously the songs we talked about, Losing Battles, Overcome, have both got great videos. And there's many, many more on there that listeners can check out. And you mentioned the flood earlier, so I will just bring the video for that in, because logistically, how much of a challenge was it to create that, with obviously the black water slowly filling up and everything. Obviously listeners will have to go and watch it to know what we're talking about, but I mean that must have been a challenge in itself.
Oh, it was the extremely hard challenge. And actually when we just came into the studio, we sat down with our director. He was like, "Are you kidding me? What kind of an idea is that?" Like,
right. We pitched him an idea, and he was like, "This is the craziest idea I've seen. I'm in."
Nice.
Yeah, but we're shocked that he accepted it, and we're so happy and grateful for him to go all in. And we actually filmed it at his parents' backyard, believe it or not. Yeah.
We had to build the room there. We had to bring pools of water, to fill up that room. All the props were hand selected by us and the production team as well. All the scenes were written by us. All the characters were written by us, like they all played by our friends.
Right. We actually have a behind the scenes video on our YouTube channel, so check it out as well. We love behind the scenes stuff, and definitely gonna put up more content.
Right. We have more behind the scenes coming up for Toxic, for Overcome, and for Losing Battles. We do not have any time to edit those videos yet, but there's going to be plenty of extra content for that.
Yeah, no, fantastic news that. I'll definitely be checking them out, and I encourage listeners to do the same, because I say just the effort that's got into it, it deserves people to see, for sure. All of the videos are fantastic, so thank you for making them, because I say I'm a music video sort of geek and I do love them. And obviously it was a really enjoyable afternoon checking them all out for me. I say, especially sometimes I log on and there's not a single one to watch. So that is brilliant. And obviously all of that we've talked about feeds into what you've already mentioned. Obviously the pain that makes us grow, your album that's going to be coming out. Again, listeners, there will be links in the bio. You can go and pre-order the album, and there's some great bundles that are available for you to order to do so. So I again encourage listeners to do that. For you, obviously, it just seems like the effort you put into everything is so obvious to me. I mean, down to putting those bundles together. As I believe an independent act, how important is just the overall kind of aesthetics of the band to you?
Super important. We, being such huge fans of Linkin Park, we obviously, took a couple pages from their book as well. Mind you,
the up to them, okay? That's how we put it.
The budgets are incomparable, right? And them being on one of the biggest labels in the world, and us being fully independent, and just grinding our way through challenges. We always try to work on our aesthetic element, and improve with every release, with every music video. This time we worked with actually one of the best designers in the industry. His name is Kevin Moore, and the company is called Soft Surrogate. And he worked on some incredible records as a graphic designer and visual side director, right? So some of them, like Spirit Box's album, for example, of Mice and Men, Dance Gavin Dance, and then there was Major Monk, right? So we hit him up on socials, and he was so kind to us that he was like, yeah, I like what you guys are doing. I love the album. I'm willing to help you out. That was amazing.
When I reached out, I actually didn't think he would even reply to us, and after like a short conversation and him like expressing such an interest in our band, I was blown away, and we knew that something special is going to come out of this collaboration.
Right, and we're super pumped on where this is going right now with our current design, with our current branding, the whole album packaging. It's as legit as it gets. It's gonna give a run for the money to every single major label release out there. Because we wanted our fans to have the absolute best. It's our first album. We spent a lot of time working on it, recording it, mixing it, mastering it, working with the professionals on the audio side of things, right? On the sound. And we decided that we need to take it a step further and up our branding. And thankfully, Kevin was there to help us out with that. And we're so excited with with our new covers and our new album, how it kind of became one. And
we always wanted vinyl, so that was the
right.
perfect opportunity for us to finally make that happen.
Right. We thought, like our fans support us every day, so we didn't feel like, giving them like a half-assed record as far as anything goes, and also the packaging and all of that. So we worked with Kevin for like months and months on making sure every single detail there kind of makes sense. Every single detail looks good. All the fonts, liner notes, because that's what I was geeking about when I was checking out my favorite albums, my favorite records, right? Always reading through the lyrics and looking at the photos and the booklets, right? Yeah. All of that is super impressive, super important for us.
See, here's another dimension to our music. It's not only you listen to it, you look at music videos, you can also like actually hold
something, right? Which is almost completely lost nowadays, right?
Yeah.
Like with all music going digital, well, thankfully, like vinyl is making a return, right? A comeback. So it's good that some of our fans decided to support us by picking up a copy. Yeah, and I can't wait for them to get them. We're gonna start shipping them probably next month.
Right.
And the benefit of picking up a physical copy on vinyl is that our listeners will get to experience album the old-fashioned way, front to back. There's no skipping in there, no skipping allowed. No shuffling, nothing of that. And
no ads.
Half of the album is still gonna be unreleased. So there's gonna be 8 songs not available anywhere. They're not available on YouTube. They're not available on streaming. Not available on Spotify. They're only available on vinyl and CDs. So for those diehard fans, we thought it would be such a cool experience to hear a lot of new music first before the rest of the world hears it, right? And obviously, we understand that vinyl and CDs are not the most convenient way of listening to music nowadays, right? It's a lot more convenient. Like a lot of people don't have a CD player in the car, for example, right? So like you always stream from the phone. So all of those songs are still going to be released on streaming, but this is the way we wanted our listeners to experience our album.
Yeah, and I love that because I grew up, like I say, not just watching music videos on TV, but I would leave the house and I would go down to the record store and, you'd look for, you'd know what day this album is coming out on, and you'd go down to the record store on release day and you'd pick it up and you'd be all excited and you'd run home, and you'd unwrap it, you'd put it on, you'd read through the lyric book. It was visceral. Right. It was so much more of an experience than just going, oh, let me just stick something on Spotify, So, I mean, I love it. I really do.
Yeah, that's exactly why we did it, and
we actually had so many record labels, vinyl records even before we got the player. That's fun.
Right. We interesting story. So I started collecting. Well, I would say collecting because it's not a huge collection, but maybe 100 records is what we have in our collection. I started buying and collecting them like way before we even had an actual record player, just because it's a physical format. It's like their artwork is beautiful, you can look at it. There's some magic to it for sure.
There really is. Magic is a great word to use to describe it. And yeah, like you say, kids these days, probably don't really understand it, but no, absolutely fantastic. The whole package around the band, as I say, you can see the care that you put into it, and it's really, really working. And obviously, the other part of any package for a band is the live side of things. So I'll move the conversation over to that now by obviously flagging the fact that you just played Louder Than Life Festival, which is obviously a massive festival over in America. We over in England, we think we do festivals well, but America's really picked up over the last sort of decade and got some really great festivals going. And obviously, how was that experience for you guys to play Louder Than Life, such a big festival there?
Humbling.
Humbling for sure. Yeah, every life experience and every experience for us as a band, it's pretty humbling, you know. Yeah, to be on the bill with all of those bands that've been killing it for, you know, decades. You know, it's the same festival Green Day played, right? Or Tool played the same day with us, right? Or Limp Bizkit,
Yeah.
or you know, a number of those bands that've been around for, I don't know, 20, 30 years, right? It's incredible that DW Presents were so kind to invite us to play. You know, there was a competition that we won as an unsigned band competition. So there's a little bit of luck involved. There's a little bit of hard work involved, and obviously a lot of kindness from DW Presents for even having a spot for unsigned bands to begin with, right?
Right.
Super cool. Would love to do it again as soon as possible. We presented our brand new set there. We've played 2 songs that are not even released yet. So that was well, as far as the live debut goes, we've played 7 songs, and 5 of them we've never played before at all. So 5 songs had their live debut, and then 2 songs have never been heard by anyone. So we thought that it would be a cool thing to do, because for us it was like a special moment, a special performance, right? Like, we don't get to do it every day. We don't get to play festivals like that every year, right? So we thought, you know, the audience might want to hear some brand new stuff.
Just very thankful to all the fans that voted for us, that we won this
Oh, absolutely, yes.
And yeah, it was a great time. We met a lot of new friends from other unsigned bands or signed bands.
Right.
We saw a couple of huge bands backstage. It's just incredible.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And we were treated so kindly, and you know, like equals, basically. Like, as we were treated just as any other band was treated. You know, we were invited for catering, and we saw, you know, Noah from Bad Omens like next to us. We saw Sully from Godsmack sitting back to back with, you know, with one of us, right? Yeah, so it's definitely like an oh snap moment. Like, wow, those are real people, like, and I get to be in the same room with them. This is amazing.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing story, obviously, and again, just shows, you know, the evolution of the band from, you know, the humble beginnings, you know, following that dream, coming across to America, and obviously getting to play with obviously bands like that. And I would put money on the fact that that is the trajectory of the band. You'll be like the bigger band at some point, and there'll be younger bands going, oh wow, we're getting to play with Major Moment, because so everything coming out from the band is fantastic. And
well, we have to do a lot of work for that to happen.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
We realize that, but thank you so much for saying that. It makes us want to work harder than we ever have. You know, it makes us want to work nonstop and see where we can take this.
Yeah, absolutely. Hard work always pays off in the end. It might take a little while, but it does. And obviously, listeners, social media is the best place to stay up to date with any band these days. We always give out the social handles. So listeners, for Major Moment on Instagram, it's major.moment. On Facebook is Major Moment, and on Twitter is Major Moment Band. So all pretty simple, and hopefully the listeners would be able to find them without my help. But I've given them that little nod in that direction. Obviously, I'm guessing there will be imminently, you know, more opportunities to catch the band live.
Oh, absolutely.
We're working on it.
We're working on it, and you know, actually, as a matter of fact, right after we wrap up our conversation with you, we're gonna go to a rehearsal space and rehearse that set. So we're still working, you know, on some things, and we always improve our set, and we always try to improve our performances, and make it better for the next one. Working behind the scenes, you know, there are some conversations about potential tours happening. So we hope our listeners will be able to experience our live performance, in more places. And
Well, yeah,
we have a lot of fans in Europe and UK as well, so we would love to come over and play for you guys as well. We're hoping we can make it happen rather sooner than later, but please give us some time. It's not as easy as you might think it is.
No, I know it's very, very difficult, and I think listeners are beginning to understand that as well. But we'll be waiting with open arms for sure. And I'm glad you mentioned you're about to head off to the rehearsal studio, because that leads into the final question really, really well. Because the final portion of the podcast is something we call set list science. I'm not just a music video geek; I'm a set list geek as well.
Okay.
The question's really, really simple. It's just, have you got any rules that you tend to follow when you build a set list, and how much importance do you place into the structures of your set lists?
Very cool question.
Right.
I guess it depends. Whatever the songs that maybe like catch some fire and get some attention, we're always trying to incorporate them in the set list. And obviously, it's important to build a flow between the songs. And we're the fans of very cool transitions. That our music is very synth. I don't know if you can say synth forward, but
it's an important element of our music.
Yeah, so
electronics
there's going to be a lot of cool transitions between the songs, so people don't just listen to silence when they come to the live show, and keep the energy flowing.
Right. Yeah. When we build the set list, we always give it a lot of thought. They're not, like, I would say they're unspoken rules, right? Like if we're playing a festival performance, we want to put 7 ballads in it, right? Because everybody's going to be asleep there, right? So we want to start it off with a banger, and finish it off with something fun and energetic, right? And then in between we might add like a song or two that are more like on the melancholic side, but then we bring it right back up with another banger. Definitely. We want to keep it exciting. We think of it as a journey as well. It's kind of like building a track listing for the album as well, in a way.
Definitely.
Because when we were working on this album, we also spent, like, I don't know, 2 weeks thinking about which order to put the songs in, because we can just like throw in there, oh, whatever works, right? We want to make sure there's a flow.
It's like telling a story.
It's like telling a story, exactly. So yeah, that's super important to us. I think we had a great set list, a great set at Louder Than Life, and we're hoping to take it to more places. All those songs, I think they're definitely stage worthy.
Yeah, and you passed the test, because clearly you do give it a good amount of thought, which is what I always look out for. And I can always tell the artists that have put in that effort. And obviously, we've covered that throughout this podcast, really, because the effort that you guys put in to every aspect of what you do, I can really tell that, and obviously appreciate it as a fan. So
thank you so much.
It's been absolutely amazing getting to run through all of it with you. And I always just chuck the last sort of bit to the guest, really, and just say, what would be your final message for the listeners today?
Embrace the suck.
Embrace the suck. Okay, I guess Sasha, killed it.
Yeah,
I know. But there's just a lot of fear that people are going through by starting something new. We have crazy dreams, and a lot of people just think, oh no, but it's like really hard. It's not gonna bring me any money or anything else, and just like by not pursuing what you really like, you might be missing out.
Oh, I like where you're going with this. Continue. I like when you said embrace the suck, like people could give it like different different interpretations. It didn't sound too inspirational to me. But now it does. Right. Yeah, totally, guys. Don't be afraid. Even if it doesn't work out in the end, you still did what you wanted to do, and that's important. You're still not gonna regret it. when you're on your deathbed. Here's Andrey going full circle and looping it up.
No,
And that's what we go by.
Kind with one another.
Be kind to one another, right? Please don't kill anybody. Come on, you guys.
I think that is ultimately the best message. Definitely, do not kill anybody. It's a pretty simple one, but it definitely works. So,
somehow it still needs to be said in 2023.
Exactly,
It needs to be
crazy.
said.
Yeah, really is. But obviously, yeah, thank you so much, both of you, for giving up your time and coming on the podcast. It's been a joy talking to you.
Thank you for having us, Paul. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. I really do hope you enjoyed that chat there with Major Moment. Do make sure you check out their single Losing Battles over on our Discover New Music playlist on Spotify. And of course, follow the band on social media to stay up to date with everything coming from them. You can also stay up to date with Full Pelt. We're on Facebook at Full Pelt and on Twitter and Instagram at Full Pelt Music. And again, if you would, please do hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, wherever you're watching or listening, because we'll be back very soon with another episode of the Discover New Music podcast.